Hello everyone and welcome to RaiseHope's presentation on using crowdfunding to fund civic initiatives. This presentation was originally given at the OMEC conference and was done by Apostolos Sigalis, one of the co-founders of RaiseHope. So what we'd like you to get out of this are a few things. First, an understanding of what crowdfunding is and how it works, to have an understanding of the current crowdfunding landscape, how to craft a professional crowdfunding campaign, how to come up with perks that boost contributions, which is obviously important, how to properly launch and market your campaign, how to utilize social media for your campaign, and finally, we're going to go through a case study that allows us to put everything together for the Paris Pool fundraiser. So crowdfunding, what is it exactly? Crowdfunding is essentially a method of raising funds online by getting a crowd to contribute in small denominations towards a larger dollar goal amount. The project creator or the campaigner creates a web page and includes a story, a video, images, links to social media. You need to include a dollar goal amount and you set the number of days that you want to run the campaign for. On RaiseHope, the maximum number of days you can run your campaign for is 60, although we don't usually recommend that because sometimes it's tough to maintain momentum throughout the entire 60 days. So perks, what are perks? Perks are incentives or rewards to encourage people to contribute or to thank them for their support. Not all sites actually allow you to add perks. For example, GoFundMe does not, but we here at RaiseHope, we do. Perks can come in a variety of forms. Mostly they come in forms of unique experiences, products, services, and recognition. So there's two main types of crowdfunding. The first is rewards-based, and rewards-based is currently the most popular form of crowdfunding where rewards or perks are offered in exchange for contributions. Within the rewards-based model, there's two types of funding, flexible and fixed, which we'll get to in a second. The next is equity-based crowdfunding, and equity-based crowdfunding is relatively new, and this is where equity or shares are offered in exchange for contributions. Now, the government's still working out a lot of the laws surrounding equity crowdfunding, so I encourage you to check with your country's laws as to where they stand on this. So under the rewards-based crowdfunding model, there's two types of funding. The first is flexible, which is sort of the keep what you raise model. If you don't reach your goal, you still get to keep the money. You are required to fulfill all the perks that your contributors have chosen. You've charged a fee per contribution. This is pretty standard across most of the major sites. Our fee is 5%. And it's usually best suited for charitable causes, personal initiatives, and community projects. The other type of funding is the fixed funding model, which people call the all or nothing model. If you don't reach your goal, you don't get to keep the funds, but there's zero fees and all of the money is returned to your contributors. You're not required to fulfill your perks, which is great when there's production involved. So this is a great low-risk option for startups. For example, if you needed to raise $10,000 to open a restaurant, and some of your perks were dinner for two or free dessert, and you only raised $250 of that, you wouldn't want to be stuck fulfilling those perks because you don't have enough money to do that. So there's an example of why fixed funding could be great for your project. So obviously crowdfunding has seen exponential growth in the last 3 to 5 years. And here you can see the year-over-year increase. And the market is estimated to grow to $90 billion by 2025. And that's substantial. So crowdfunding's here to stay. Just wanted to touch briefly on some of the top platforms out there. Most of these are out of the US. So GoFundMe, for example, Kickstarter, which is great for sort of tech and gadgets. Indiegogo is really good for artistic projects. Tilt seems to be a generic crowdfunding platform. Give Forward, and then of course us here at RaiseHope. So just briefly about RaiseHope, we're sort of the crowdfunding site for social good. We really empower individuals, communities, and nonprofits to make the world a better, brighter place. We offer both types of funding. We allow you to add perks to your campaign. We actually have a perk marketplace, which I'm not going to get into here, but I encourage you to check it out. We have fully integrated social media capabilities. We offer free campaign coaching, and of course, we're 100% Canadian. Civic crowdfunding, what is it exactly? Civic crowdfunding takes the process of crowdfunding and really applies it to a project or an endeavor that's in the public's collective best interest rather than a private one. So a great example of one of the earliest civic crowdfunding projects is actually the Statue of Liberty. Now, the Statue of Liberty was a diplomatic gift from France to the US in 1885, but New York City was unable to raise the full $250,000 required to build the granite pedestal. So a local newspaper, the New York World, launched a fundraising campaign to raise the remaining $100,000. The campaign raised money from more than 160,000 unique donors, including children, businessmen, street cleaners. Everybody got involved. And more than 3/4 of the donations came to less than $1, which is amazing. In just 5 months, the New York World raised just over $100,000, which was enough to cover the last bit to complete the pedestal, and they had money left over for a gift for the sculptor. So let's talk about some of the campaign connections there. The campaign really had all the components of a modern crowdfunding campaign. First, social media. Journalists from multiple newspapers would write stories about the fundraiser. This created and maintained hype. They ran a daily goal tally, so the money raised was shown daily on the front page of the newspaper. Donor recognition. The names of the donors were listed and printed on the front page. Donor comments. Letters were written into the contributors and they were published. Perks and rewards. Gold coins were actually given for the larger donations, which is pretty cool. So let's quickly talk about the civic landscape. The US and the UK were the first countries to really embrace crowdfunding. And as of June 2014, most of the crowdfunding initiatives are still relatively small, between $5,000 and $15,000, but that number is rising quickly as A, people start to be more successful, and B, people start to get more of the hang of crowdfunding. So far, green spaces tend to be the most common civic projects. Crowdfunding can help small groups identify and energize people within their community, both donors and volunteers, which is great. And a small crowdfunding effort can actually unlock big dollars. For example, the Kansas City Bike Share program went out to raise $20,000, but they also got so much media attention that it led to an extra $50,000 in grants from private foundations. And then they also got federal matching dollars, which ultimately led to a 6-figure infusion of cash, which is awesome. So very briefly, let's talk about some of the facts and figures that have to do with the civic crowdfunding. Since June 2014, 1,224 project campaigns have been launched, 771 projects have been successfully funded, 10.7 million was raised by these completed projects. The median pledge was $62, and the median fundraising goal was $8,000, and the median amount raised was $6,357. So a few examples, there's a lot, obviously, we just picked a few. A shared space for Stories of Tottenham, cleanup of Newbins and Jenks Park, and a park and slide in the city of Bristol. So here are some of the key stakeholders and some of the major crowdfunding players for a civic crowdfunding campaign. So, of course, you have local businesses. These people can come to the table with perks, which we'll talk about in a little bit. They can also sponsor the civic project through the crowdfunding campaign. They're going to be great for awareness as well, especially if their business is tied to it because it's got a lot of positive PR for them. The government can come to the table with fund matching and they can validate your campaign. It also shows them that if you have a campaign that's been supported by a number of people in the community, that your project has validity and it's something to get behind. Local nonprofits. If you partner with a local nonprofit, charitable tax receipts can be issued for your contributors. And of course, they're great for awareness as well. The community, that seems like a bit of an obvious one. They're the end users of these civic projects in the end. They're great for social media too, especially the moms, they love to share. And public vote. So if you need something endorsed by them, you can see that if they're funding your campaign, that they support you. And the BIA, which is also sort of tied to the local businesses, they're the governing body for the businesses. And they have a really large network, so they can help you spread that. And that obviously builds up to awareness. So we're going to talk about the 8 steps to success. And here they are sort of in a nutshell, and then we'll go through them in more depth. The first, determine your budget. Second, craft your pitch. 3, you're going to create some perks. 4, we're going to talk about a compelling video. What is it? 5, we're going to talk about things that you have to do during pre-launch. And what people don't understand or what people don't realize is that 90% of the work for a crowdfunding campaign is done during this pre-launch phase. So it's really important. Number 6, launch and updates. Number 7, how to learn and adjust. And number 8, what to do once your campaign wraps up. So most of you have probably heard about this campaign, the potato salad campaign. You know, this is great because it talks about crowdfunding and lets people know what crowdfunding is all about, but unfortunately people think that you can just put a campaign up there and it will make a ton of money, and that's just not true. Crowdfunding takes planning and it takes work. Okay, so first things first, your budget. Here's some of the things that you need to consider when it comes to budget. How much do you need to raise? And you'll see here we put need, not want. You need to come up with a figure that really is how much you can get by with, and that should be your goal amount. You don't want to have a really high goal and really you could have done it for less. Always go for the lower goal amount because you can always surpass it. You need to consider the cost of your perks. So if you have perks that require production, there's product and costs involved there, supplies and materials, and shipping. Marketing, how much are you going to spend on marketing? How much are you going to spend on any print and collateral? Those dollars need to come out of your total goal amount so that you're left with enough money in the end to fulfill your project. Video production. Ideally, you tap into your network for this and keep costs low. Fiverr is a great resource for video production. And of course, platform fees. Make sure that you realize that there's going to be money taken off the top. In the case of RaiseHope, it's 5%, and that seems pretty standard across a lot of the major platforms. So crafting your pitch. You need to describe your project. What are you guys doing? Get into the details and make sure there's a flow, and you got to tell a story. You definitely need to evoke emotion. Ultimately, people need to be able to sense the passion and the humor, but that's what's going to make people share your campaign is can you evoke emotion from them? What do you want somebody to feel once they've seen your campaign? Talk about your budget breakdown, how much money you need and what you're going to spend the money on. That way people know that you're serious about it and that you've done your homework. Timing, talk about the timing of your project from the beginning to the end. What are you doing? How long is it going to take you? When is it completed? Of course, you want to add images. It breaks up the text, but make sure they look professional and they're not blurry. A great resource for this is PicMonkey.com, where you can create collages and edit your photos, and it's a nice way to add a bunch of pictures without taking up too much space. Okay, now let's talk about creating perks. So again, perks are those things that you add to your campaign to either thank people for donating or to encourage them to contribute. Perks come in really 3 different types. First is unique experiences. So this is about giving people access to things they wouldn't otherwise have had. So maybe it's dinner with a local celebrity, VIP passes to a launch party, or sing on stage with a band. Ultimately, all of your perks should really have something to do with what your project is. The next is recognition. So about recognizing people for their contribution. Facebook thank you shout out. That's sort of like the lowest hanging fruit and the easiest to do. Maybe if you're opening a restaurant, you would have a drink named after you. Or if you're creating a community green space, you could have a plaque on one of the park benches. And the final one is either a product or a service. So this is something tangible or something you have done. Dinner for 2, for example, or get 50% off any item in the store. This is really great for businesses. They can drive people to their business, drive traffic, and offer people a deal at the same time, as well as get that positive PR. So these types of perks, product and service, are a great way to get your local businesses involved. So video. Everybody should create a video. It doesn't have to be a super expensive, flashy video. 2 to 3 minutes is the ideal runtime for a video, and I would even say less than 2 minutes is okay too. You really need to know your audience. You need to use language and tone that fits your campaign and your initiative. You need to explain how you and your team have what it takes to make this successful. Mention some of your perks, but definitely don't list all of them. And again, you want to evoke emotion and describe how your initiative is going to better the community. This is something people forget all the time, and that's the ask. Somewhere in your video, come out and ask people to contribute to your campaign. This is your call to action. Of course, you're going to say thank you and express gratitude for people's help. And in the end, what the takeaway should really be is to inspire the people that are watching. This is what's going to help them give. Now let's take a look at an example video that was done for a campaign out of Detroit, Michigan.
We began getting interested in the whole idea of the alley concept when the Green Garage folks came to us and they said, look, we've spent a lot of time over in Tokyo and other places where alleyways and pedestrian pathways are really common, and they do a lot of wonderful things for connecting community and creating social spaces. And they actually came to us and said, well, hey, why don't we partner on trying to put together a green alley pilot project for Detroit? Because there's a lot of existing alleys that are in very poor condition, sitting right next to other major investments that are being made.
I think alleys are really a special place in the city because they're either something that is going to bring us together or separate us. So I think doing these green alley projects are a way that we can bring our city together and make it more walkable.
Funding partnership on this new 2nd Avenue alley is really exciting. Shinola, who is our partner in both the dog park and our other green alley currently opening next to the Willys right now, is also partnering with us on this new one on 2nd Avenue. In addition, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation is partnering with us with a grant that will be matched by a new local crowdsourcing platform called Patronosity. And so we'll be launching this new campaign where folks can contribute. We're hoping to raise $50,000 as a match to the MEDC funding, which will go along with the Shinola funding so that we can create a $200,000 new beautiful alleyway on 2nd Avenue.
This alleyway in particular is part of this feeling that Midtown has that I think is unique to this part of the city, and we're looking forward to having that. We're looking forward to our restaurant being part of that.
It's literally our backyard, cleaning up our backyard. Who couldn't support that?
Let's talk about the things that you need to do during the pre-launch phase, so before you hit publish. If you haven't already, set up your social media pages and start to build up your followers. Crowdfunding takes a crowd, and if you don't have one, then you need to start building one up before you launch. You can do this by creating lists for family, friends, coworkers, journalists, bloggers, other social media influencers, people in the community, and other associations. Definitely have someone take a look at your campaign before you launch it. Get some fresh eyes. We at RaiseHope do 1 hour free campaign consultation, so use all of the resources available to you. You want to get some committed contributors ready to go before you hit launch. People think that when a campaign starts going and it all of a sudden takes off, that's organic. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's about getting people on board, letting them know the campaign is coming before you launch, and having them donate right out of the gate. This shows quick momentum, and then you can start sending it out to the masses. You really want to avoid sending out a campaign to people who are sort of in your secondary networks with a zero or low balance. Build up a team. Your team should consist of people that are going to help you share your campaign. Of course, they're going to help you donate, people to help you with social media, all of that stuff. And you need to create a marketing plan for the various stages of your campaign, for the early to mid to late stages of your campaign, because you don't want to lose steam. Okay, so you're going to launch your campaign. Now what do? You need to work your campaign like it's a job. What you put into it, you're going to get out of it, as they say. You can't just post it once and that's it and leave it. You need to share it multiple times a week, I would even say daily, on social media. You also need to remind people via email about your campaign. Give people updates about how you're doing. On RaiseHope, we've built in features that allow you to thank people right from the campaign page publicly on Facebook. And that allows people to see that you're getting donations, but at the same time reminding them that you're running this campaign. So you want to build excitement. On the days leading up to the launch, you should have a countdown on social media. I guess that's sort of part of the pre-launch. Let people know it's coming. Maybe have a quick fact each day leading up to it so people know that the launch date is coming. Once your campaign is live, you want to engage those people that you reached out to during pre-launch to contribute right away. You do want to reach out to media, but again, you don't want to be sending them information about a campaign when you have next to no money in it or no money in it. You need to build momentum, so you want to update your supporters when you receive big contributions. Again, that builds hype. Visually sharing your milestones is something we've noticed that allows people to maintain excitement throughout the campaign. So create them, just come up with them. You know, we're at 100 unique donors, or we're halfway. Something else that we've seen that's really worked is we're at 98 unique donors. Come on, let's get this to 100. So almost those pre-milestone goals in getting you to your milestone. So you need to keep momentum. And this is why sometimes we steer people away from running 60-day campaigns, especially when it's about community initiatives or project-based. It's tough to keep momentum for those full 60 days. You need to keep your campaign fresh and the momentum building, and you need to be able to adapt if things aren't working. You can release new perks throughout the campaign. So if you have a business who's come to the table with some great perks, maybe you sort of save those and hold those back so you can sort of inject some new life into your campaign midway through. Feel free to add video updates to your campaign, and you can share those via social media. People love watching quick videos. You want to thank your supporters both personally and publicly to show that you've got action. We mentioned this already. And if something's not working, ask for feedback from your peers. Maybe something's not clear, or maybe you're saying too much. And finally, the campaign wrap-up. This is important too. So great, you've raised a bunch of money and you've got a ton of awareness and you've got the community to back your initiative. All great things. But you need to let people know what's going on. So let them know the campaign is over and what the results were. Thank your supporters for their contributions and confirm their perk delivery dates. Analyze the data and contributor list. This information is gold. Now you have all these new people that you can communicate with. Of course, you want to send out your perks. And even after the fact and months down the road, keep people informed of your progress and success. Okay, let's dive into a case study and apply some of the things that we've spoken about today. So this case study is built around the Paris, Ontario Community Pool Project. The goal: on October 5th, 2011, Brant County Council gave their final approval for $1.57 million needed to rebuild the community pool. Residents of Paris started a fundraising campaign in hopes of raising the additional $200K. Over the course of 4 years, the community raised $110,000, which is great, for the reconstruction of the Paris community pool in Lions Park. Here is the website that the Paris community set up for the fundraiser. First of all, it's great that they had a site. Obviously, there's a few things here that have been improved on through using crowdfunding. The first one is layout. So there's a few formatting issues here. The second one is keeping your goal updated in real time. You can see here on the right-hand side that the thermometer hasn't been updated. So we've put together a very quick crowdfunding campaign for the pool in Paris. And here you can see there's lots of great colors. You can see the goal is perfectly outlined here, how much they want to raise, how much they've raised. They've actually tied themselves to a charity here so that there can be tax receipts issued, and all of this information is available. They've included a video here. We're actually going to go listen to that video in a minute. And people can give now. And you can see here on the right-hand side that we've added some perks from local businesses. So give $25 and get 50% off any sports shoes at Paris Runner's Den. So great. These guys get to support this community initiative and drive traffic to their store. Another one is dinner for two at the Cedar House. Again, driving traffic to their restaurant and allowing them to support a great cause. This one here is buy a brick. This would be considered a recognition-based perk. So for $200, you get a commemorative brick in the walkway leading up to the pool with your name or business on it. Things like charity golf tournament tickets. On RaiseHope, you can actually create an event and add ticket perks to your campaign so that when someone buys that perk, then they actually get a ticket sent to their email and they bring that to the front door. It makes it really easy for people. And you can also see here back on the left that you've included some community partners there and logo recognition in your campaign. So let's talk about the market a little bit, and this is something you're going to have to research as well. So Paris, Ontario has a population of 11,763. There's over 80 businesses in the downtown area. The median age is 42 and the number of dwellings is just over 13,000. And actually, Paris was affectionately coined the prettiest town in Canada. So let's take a look at what the budget might look like for the Paris Community Pool fundraiser. So they needed to raise an additional $200,000 over 3 years. I would suggest breaking that up into smaller amounts. There's a few reasons for that. First of all, if you're trying to reach $200,000, it's going to take a lot of money to see that meter move on your fundraiser stats. Break it up into smaller chunks, and you also can't run a campaign for 3 years. Marketing and budget. Utilize both collateral and media. What are your costs for your on-site banners with sponsors? What are your costs to print the posters in local businesses and organizations? You're going to want to run some ads possibly in the local newspaper. If you can't get them for free as a media partner, then maybe you're going to have to pay for them, and make sure you include the cost of that in your budget. And of course, your online ads that are tied to local businesses and events. The video, we've spoken about this briefly, but you can use your iPhone. They're great for making videos, and you can use editing software like iMovie, or again, Fiverr.com is a great resource for editing video. And again, always try to add people to your team that can lower your production costs. So if you know somebody, or if there's a local business in town that does movie production, use them. It's a great idea. So what is our campaign or our pitch going to look like for the fundraiser? You need to talk about why you're going to raise the money. Of course, here it's about raising money to rebuild the pool. You want to show photos of the pool, maybe show past photos and the current state, and then maybe show some new plans as well for the drawings. You want to touch on the 3 stages of development and the campaign. So if you decided to run 3 campaigns, talk about that. You want to evoke emotion. Talk about how everyone in the town is going to benefit. You want to connect with the young, parents, and the elderly. Maybe there's a bit of nostalgia associated with the campaign. And of course, the budget breakdown. Tell people where the money is going, how it's being spent. You don't need to break it down to the penny, so break it down in broad strokes for them. Perks. What would some of our perks look like? Maybe for experiences, you could have the pool to yourself for a day, which would be really cool, or be a VIP at our grand opening pool party. Recognition, the shout outs on Facebook like we talked about. Have a brick in your name like we showed in the campaign there, or have your logo on the site, so brand recognition for companies. Product and service. Get a family pool pass for 4 for the summer, so pre-sell entrance to the pool. An example of retail can be contribute and get 50% off all items, or again, restaurants, give away dinner for 2s, or have a prefix menu. Let's take a look at the video for another community pool fundraiser.
Welcome to the Truckee Community Pool. In operation for over 40 years, it has served many community members in its time, which has finally come to an end. 10 years ago, we began working toward the dream of building a modern aquatic center for Truckee. The permits are issued and shovels ready, but we still need your help. Despite the countless hours spent by community leaders, staff, board members, and strong support from neighboring districts, we are at risk of losing a key component of the proposed Truckee Aquatic Center, our warm water pool. While the 10-lane lap pool has been approved, we need to provide the proper facilities for all aquatic activities. Active seniors, disabled persons, rehabilitation patients, and kids will all benefit from this addition. We need your help in realizing our dream of an aquatics facility complete with both pools so that we may serve our entire community. Our partners are willing to match every donation 3-to-1. All monies are doubled thanks to the Kauaiha Foundation, then matched by the Truckee Tahoe Airport District. We only have 40 days to raise matching funds totaling $1 million. That's $250,000 from our supporters. Be a part of this community effort and contribute now. Thank you.
Great. Now let's take a minute to chat about some of the things that we need to consider again for pre-launch. Think of your campaign as a movie premiere. All the hype must be built beforehand. Map out your marketing plan over the term of the campaign. Again, make sure you have something planned for the beginning, the middle, and late stages of your campaign. Hard advertising. Put up your posters and your banners in key locations across your town or city, and definitely add the call to action, and you want to include that URL. Social media. Make sure you start adding all of the local residents and businesses to your social media pages. Encourage them to register for your campaign and have them like your Facebook pages. Get those committed givers on board. Engage your network and have them ready to contribute right away. This shows momentum and gets people excited early. Local newspaper. Reach out to the media beforehand to let them know that you're running this campaign, but don't send them the campaign and don't have them write about it until you've got some money in there. Okay, it's launch time. Now what do we do? All of your partners and networks should be tweeting and posting the campaign URL. You can see here by our quick Venn diagram on the right-hand side how much you can grow your network just by including and making friends with community partners. Have your committed contributors start processing their donations right away. Share people's donations via social media as a way to show traction. And again, wait to reach out to the media until you have some money in the pot. Post and tweet often, daily at a minimum, and more frequently for sure at the beginning of the campaign. Okay, let's talk a minute about keeping momentum, which can be difficult. Find new reasons to engage your network throughout the duration of the campaign. Thank people for their donations, both large and small. And large donations, share through social media. You can share perks using RaiseHope's perk sharing function. That's something unique to our site. And release new perks throughout the campaign and build excitement up to these. Offer the charitable tax receipts. This reminds people of the campaign. And keep your updates fresh. Announce new sponsors and repost your media mentions. If you have an article written about you, post that on Facebook. And count down to the end of the campaign to sort of bring in those last little bits of money. It's the wrap up. Campaign 1 of 3 is complete. Excellent. Report your final tally to the media, the contributors, and all the partners so that they can talk about what you guys have accomplished together. Email out your custom thank you certificate sponsors, your media and businesses to display. Take a look at all the data that you've collected. What perks worked well for each demographic? Where did a majority of your donations come from? On what days did people donate the most on? What was the average donation? And what social media posts were shared the most? That way, when you're ready to launch campaign number 2, you've learned what works best. And definitely keep people updated on the progress of pool construction. So let's quickly take a look at the campaign that we've created for our case study. So you can see here that it's Save the Paris Community Pool. That's the title of our campaign. And we have added a nice cover header here, which really frames the page and sets the tone for our campaign right from the beginning. This is where you include your introduction text, sort of a quick summary. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see that our goal amount is $250,000, and we've raised a fictional $187,500 so far. The video that we've uploaded can be played straight from this window, which is great because nobody has to leave your campaign page. And here you'll see that we've partnered with a charity. Their information is here and their charity number. This is where you can add information about yourselves and who started the campaign. You can include contact info, but there's also a button here to message you, and this will open up as an email, and people can email you. As you can see, we've added more information here about the initiative, and we've broken up the text with images. And here you'll see an example of something we've created on PicMonkey. And this is a great way to have a cluster of images and to fully span the width of the campaign versus having single images taking up a lot of vertical space. On the right-hand side, this is where people get into where they would give. So if you click on Give Now, Just Give, No Perks, that's where somebody would click when they want to give just straight up cash. And a lot of people do. Further down the page, we have the perk section, and this is where we've added perks from local businesses. When the campaign is live, right now this campaign is still in draft mode, there would be a button here that says Select Perk, and that's obviously where someone would go to select that perk, and then they would be taken to the shopping cart or the checkout. This here is a feature that we've built in, and it's a hot corner, a share perk hot corner, where you can share this perk versus the campaign on Facebook and Twitter. So let's click on Facebook. And this is where it'll come up on Facebook, and you'll see it'll say give to the Save the Paris Community Pool and get 50% off any athletic shoes. So this is where the local businesses can share their perk and get in on the action for social media. Dinner for two, you can see all of our perks run down the right-hand side. Again, we have another collage that breaks up the text. We've included the sponsors' logos, which is great brand awareness for the local businesses. And down here, you can see you can include external links to your Facebook, Twitter, YouTube channel, and your website. Up here, you can see we have tabs. When you add a Facebook link and a Twitter link to your campaign, it live streams here. So in this case, we've added our pages here, but you can see that all of the social media posts that we've done are going to show up in this feed. Updates. This is where you can update all of the people that have already contributed to your campaign. So if you are releasing a new perk, you would add the update here, and everyone who's donated already would get an email with this update. Comments. You yourself can leave comments, or people can leave comments about the campaign, offering words of encouragement, etc. And funders. Right now we've had 3,719 funders, and they all are going to be listed here, and what they chose, what they gave. If they chose a perk, it would be listed here as well. When someone is checking out, they can leave a message. You can also respond to that message right here, and you can also share this through social media, whatever they've said, or when they've donated, you can share all of that. Here you can see someone selected a perk. So that's a quick look at what a campaign looks like on RaiseHope.